we're going to talk about the top 6 ways that you are a strategic leader, whether you know it or not. Number 3 is you rally the troops, and you stay calm, cool, and collected while you're doing that. It's the leader's job to make sure that everyone is on the same page, going in the same direction. You lead by example and inspire others to go with you. As Yogi Berra said, and I found out he's from Missouri, so that's very cool. Yogi Berra said, "If you don't know where you're going, you might wind up someplace else." So what does it look like to rally the troops for a grant proposal? Well, you start out by setting the tone as a collaborative one. It's all about teamwork and joint ownership. You want to show that you expect everyone to play well together to achieve a common goal. And by the way, if you have a team that's especially alienated from one another, you might even have to do an icebreaker or a team building exercise so they get to know each other better. So, what is your common goal? Yes, of course, the main goal is to get the grant, right? But within that, you're also aiming to do a few other things. So the first one is to inspire the funder with your unique ideas and show them that they can trust in your professional ability to get the job done. You want to encourage the funder to see your organization as a good investment. And the return on that investment is the social benefit that you will offer. It's your job as the grant leader to remind your team of these goals. Any information they can give you to help reinforce these ideas would be most helpful. It's kind of a nice little checklist to make sure that you're keeping your team on track. That means at a minimum, you're going to have an initial meeting with the key players and sometimes the supporting actors. It could be a series of meetings with individual staff people or an entire department to discuss the strategy and implementation plan for a specific proposal. Sometimes it's up to you to make sure the finance people or the evaluators, the outside experts, everyone is included. You might even need to bring in some key board members or volunteers to be part of that mix. And sometimes you'll need to consult with the executive director, especially if there's a question of organizational policy involved. Oftentimes, you are the only glue that these different troops have binding them together during the grant-seeking process. Let me ask you, how extensive is your teamwork at your organization? Please raise your hand if you do almost all the grant writing by yourself, all alone. That's a tough one, yeah. I know what that feels like, and it's not so pleasant. It's also not the most productive. So shall I assume that everyone else in the room works with several other people? Raise your hand if you do. Several other people and outside experts sometimes. Excellent, great. I found that many times the people I'm working with are actually very thankful that I am taking the lead. They would actually prefer to be a team member and not have the responsibility of leadership. One of my favorite short expressions that I have when I end a planning session with my team is simply, "Go team." And you have to be able to manage that team. That means cultivating relationships with each individual, even if you are very different people. You know how some people are very analytical and literal, often called left brain, and others are more creative, feeling types, often called right brain? Try appealing to both sides, because your team will benefit from both perspectives. Once you've developed some sort of relationship with every single person, you need to be clear about your group expectations. For example, what level of participation and communication do you need to have throughout the process, and when? That may involve specific due dates to meet milestones along the way. Also, how will you handle areas of disagreement or different interpretations? The last thing you need is a divided group on your hands while a deadline is breathing down your neck. And what do you do with a non-cooperative team member? How many people in this room have kind of come across that a little bit? Yeah. See if you can demonstrate how much better the proposal will be with their expert input. And then try to make it as easy as possible for those people to participate. Everyone likes to be an expert, right? So help each team member carve out a specialty, an area where they can lead. Sometimes that's obvious from their job titles, but if it's not, I encourage you just to assign specific roles. Now, I'll just name 3 possible roles. The first one is content specialist. That person takes a stab at an initial draft or reviews drafts by others. Then we have the needs assessor to help establish why the project is so crucial in the first place. That person is going to help put together the strong needs statement. And then we have an evaluator. And hopefully, if you're really lucky, you'll have a third-party evaluator, kind of an outside expert to help you with the evaluation part. But even if you don't, I recommend finding at least one person on staff who's identified as that role, the evaluator role. A good leader also regularly encourages and appreciates people on the team. Everyone loves validation. And you know, sometimes when you get so focused on being the leader, you forget to be prepared to also follow. After all, you can't know everything. Trust that your team members hold a lot of the answers. Listen to their concerns and suggestions. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.